Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. This is a very late broadcast today. We originally wanted, as we've told you before, we wanted to come on the air sometime between 4 and 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. We were not able to do that tonight because we had an emergency thing that we had to take care of. We're coming on the air right now with you. Okay? This program is by no means something that we just put in here to throw away time. We don't do that. We talk about pertinent issues on this program, pertinent issues that might affect each one of us, how we would be affected by what would happen. Okay, we want to talk about all those things that could happen to us. Okay, that's why we're here tonight. Primarily the reason we're here tonight. Now, guys, I have a lot of information for you. Before we get into that, I want to do a little bit of housekeeping here. If you enjoy what we're talking about tonight, please give us a thumbs up. Giving us a thumbs up lets YouTube know that you enjoy our programming, lets everybody know that you appreciate what we're doing here on this channel and appreciate the information that we give you. Okay? Please let YouTube know that. That's also very important. Give us a thumbs up, guys. It will mean a world of difference to us, a world of difference to everybody here on YouTube. Now, before we get into this, okay, we're going to explore some earthquakes tonight. We're going to explore some earthquake magnitudes, the strength of these earthquakes, and the danger these earthquakes may pose in our near future. Okay? Also, I want you to do this for us. Down under this picture you see here on your program tonight, you see addresses going across the bottom of your screen. You see our PayPal addresses here. You can donate to our PayPal addresses here to help support this program, to keep this program on the air. That would be greatly appreciated. You can also donate to our Super Chat here tonight. We'd appreciate that greatly as well. Also, if you want to, we'd love to see you send a card or a letter to us here, to our address here, our mailing address, 504 Bethel Road, Box 401, Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code here is 28655. We'd appreciate that. Inside that card or letter, you can also stick a donation, and we'd appreciate that as well. Okay? 2 days ago, actually I think it was Saturday, we got a donation from our friend Laura and John from Oregon. We appreciate that. Okay? They sent us a small box of brownies, gourmet brownies. They're very rich brownies and very good and tasty brownies. I want to thank John and Laura for doing that for us. We appreciate that. Really nice card there as well. Now, guys, you can do that as well. We appreciate that. As someone said the other night, I love trains and I love rocks. I have a rock collection. My rock collection was started again after I got married. I lost a lot of rocks because of my divorce from my first wife. She kept most of my rocks for my kids, and I believe my kids may have thrown them out. They didn't appreciate rocks as much as I did. Now, because of all of you throughout the years, nearly 7 years now, my rock collection's now started again. Okay? We've got valuable rocks here. Okay? Valuable rocks here. Okay? We've got obsidian. Okay? Volcanic rock. Obsidian. And in fact, last year, Demon Catman sent me this. This is an obelisk made of obsidian. I greatly appreciate it. We also have a smaller obsidian obelisk here as well. Demon Catman this year sent us a smaller obelisk and also sent me some other rocks I showed you earlier at Christmas time. We appreciate that. If you want to send us rocks, please do that. Okay? I love rocks. If you find something that's really nice, yes, you can send it to me. I'd appreciate that. Also, I love trains. I love trains very much. Behind me, you see trains on my back wall and here in my office studio here. Over here on my other wall, I have another train picture here that was sent to me that was hand drawn by one of you. I appreciate that ever so much. Like I said, I love trains. But guys, that's something you can also enhance my life with is that. Okay. Now let's get into these earthquakes. Okay. We have had significant seismic energy traveling around the tectonic plates. I'm going to start off in the southern hemisphere with earthquakes that have happened over in Samoa and over in Fiji. Okay. Samoa and Fiji. Okay. Let's go over the USGS map right now. Let's take a look at this. Okay. Okay, I'm opening up the USGS map. I'm already focused in on the southern hemisphere in Fiji and Samoa. Okay, I'm going to take down our EMA banner here. I'm also going to take down our webcam for at least the time being. Okay, let's focus on this large earthquake here. I want to focus on this large earthquake first. This is over in Fiji. This earthquake is in Fiji, guys. This is very important. Okay, why? Because it was a large 6.2. Very strong 6.0, 6.9. This is a 6.2 earthquake. But something you also need to know, this is a very deep earthquake. 517 kilometers deep. 517 kilometers deep. Very deep earthquake. With that said, okay, I'm going to take this USGS map down for just a minute. I'm going to bring up our depth to magnitude conversion chart. Okay, depth to magnitude conversion chart. Again, this was a 6.2 very strong earthquake. Okay, it was also 517 kilometers deep. Very deep earthquake. Let's take this map down for just a minute. We go over here to the third column from the left to 551 kilometers deep. We see 550 here. Let's use that. We have to add a 1.1 to the magnitude of this earthquake. Why? Because it was a deep earthquake. Deep earthquakes propagate larger, more shallow quakes. We're going to add a 1.1 of this earthquake. It's important. It's very important here. We add a 1.1 of this earthquake. Guess what? We're going to get a 7.2 earthquake. A 7.2 earthquake that is going to strike somewhere in this region or west of here in the next 3 to 10 days. Sometime in the next 3 to 10 days, we're going to get a major earthquake. This was a 6.2 very strong earthquake that hit today. The 7.2 earthquake is going to be very damaging. Very damaging. The only thing that could help us now is make sure it doesn't hit on land. This 7.2 earthquake hits anywhere near land, the people in the vicinity of this 7.2 earthquake may be totally inconvenienced. Their lives could be disrupted. That's why I'm talking about this. This is a 6.2 very strong earthquake, not near any land at all, didn't affect anybody. The waters of the Pacific Ocean absorbed the shock waves from this quake. But that might not be the case with a 7.2 earthquake. Okay? If that 7.2 earthquake hits land, hits any land mass, including an island, that earthquake could be very devastating. Okay? Now, right after I started this program back in 2019, down here in the Kermadec Islands to the south where this earthquake hit today, the Kermadec Islands, right here, right between where this earthquake struck and mainland New Zealand to the south. The Kermadec Islands belongs to New Zealand. Back the summer of 2019, we had many major earthquakes that hit this area. The Kermadec Islands are only occupied by birds. Their lives may have been badly disrupted because of earthquakes that hit. Many major earthquakes hit. I'm saying probably 10 to 15 major earthquakes, 7.0 to 7.6 hit in this region the summer of 2019. Nobody felt this earthquake because nobody's in these islands. Again, these islands belong to the birds. Bird sanctuary again. Okay? But back in 2019, we had a massive earthquake situation here. I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but it might. It might. 7.2 earthquake is massive earthquake. Now, whether or not it hits down here in the Kermadec Islands or goes south is another issue. If it goes down here into the New Zealand area, people's lives may be very seriously in danger. They might be very seriously in danger. I'm talking about this because it's a possibility. Okay? A 7.2 very shallow quake from anywhere from, say, 6.2 miles, 10 kilometers deep, even up to and including 150 miles deep, are considered very shallow earthquakes. It could happen. It could happen. Okay? Also, that major earthquake could go over here to Vanuatu, right over in this area today. Could hit in this area right now. Anytime within the next 3 to 10 days that this earthquake could hit. Could also go over here to the Legacy Islands south of Vanuatu. Could also go up here into the Solomon Islands here to the west here. Or it could end up over here in Papua New Guinea. I pray it doesn't hit here in Papua New Guinea or anywhere else on the islands here. Okay? But that's not the only thing we have to see here today. Yes, we're going to come back here to Vanuatu. There's an earthquake that hit here today. I'm going to go north now. This was a very deep earthquake. This other earthquake here was a shallow quake. It wasn't either. This was another very deep earthquake, 542 kilometers deep. 542 kilometers deep. This is east of Suva, Fiji. 4.3 earthquake. 4.3 earthquake here. 542 kilometers deep. Let's go back to the depth of magnitude conversion chart here. Right here. 500, let's go up to even 540 here. Okay? 1.08. We're going to add a 1.08 to this quake. This is a 4.3 earthquake. 4.3 earthquake. Which means we're going to add a 1.2 to the magnitude of this quake, which is going to make this earthquake a 5.5 to 5.6 earthquake. This earthquake that's going to hit here as a result of this 4.3 earthquake in Fiji today could be as strong as a 5.5 to 5.7 earthquake. Okay? Again, it could hit here in the Fiji area, could hit over in Tonga area, could hit over in Samoa, could hit down here in the Legacy Islands to the south. We don't know where it's going to hit. Could hit down here in New Caledonia, right down here. Could hit over here in Vanuatu. The Solomon Islands, or like I said, even over here into Papua New Guinea. Or, and this has happened sometime in the past, all of this seismic energy, this very strong seismic energy, the major earthquake energy, could end up over here in South America, Chile and or Argentina. Okay? But we're not done yet. We're not done yet. Let's go over here to Samoa. Samoa. We had a 5.6 earthquake hit here in Samoa today. This was a shallow earthquake. This 5.6 large earthquake, 88 miles northeast of Hiiumatangi in Samoa. Samoa, guys. There's Apia, Samoa right there. It's closer to Apia, Samoa than it is Tonga at this point in time. 5.6 earthquake just hit southwest of Samoa. Shell earthquake. Nobody's even near this earthquake here at all. Again, the waters of the Pacific Ocean absorbed the shock waves of this quake. Okay? Let's go over to Vanuatu today. Okay? Over in Vanuatu, this is another large earthquake here. I'm zooming in here so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. See where Luganville, Vanuatu is over here on the map? This is a large 5.0 earthquake. 23 miles southeast of Luganville, Vanuatu. Large earthquake. Because of this earthquake being farther out into the ocean, I don't believe the occupants of Vanuatu over here at Luganville, Vanuatu, or any other island felt this earthquake. They may have felt some rumbling beneath their feet. Granted, they may have felt some kind of rumbling beneath their feet, but they did not feel the full force of this large earthquake. They did not feel the full force of this earthquake here. Okay? I want to make that clear. Okay? But we have some very strong and large earthquakes that are going to happen. There are going to happen within the next 3 to 10 days. We're going to keep our eyes on it. Okay? We're going to keep our eyes on it. Fortunately for us, today over here in Australia, there were no earthquakes at all. No minor earthquakes, small or any other kind of earthquake. That's a good thing. However, look over here in Indonesia. USGS is saying there are 2 earthquakes here in Timor-Leste, Indonesia. This is false. This is a false narrative. There are 48 earthquakes here in Indonesia today. 48. Again, they're not telling us the truth about anything here. They're showing 2 earthquakes. Not even 1/5 or even 1/4 of the earthquakes that are actually here. This is a 4.4 here in Los Palos, Timor-Leste, Indonesia. 4.4 earthquake, very shallow quake. Right here next to it. This is in the Banda Sea, as is the other earthquake here in Timor, Indonesia. In the Banda Sea. Nobody felt these earthquakes because of the water. The water absorbed the shockwaves of these quakes. This here earthquake is a 4.3 moderate quake as well. It's 99 kilometers deep, still a very shallow earthquake. Guys, what about the other earthquakes that hit here in Indonesia today? They range in size from 2.5, 3.0 to 3.9, 4.0 to 4.7. Yes, there were some 4.7 moderate quakes here. Small quakes and minor earthquakes as well. My question is, as is always, why is USGS not showing these earthquakes. As I said before, between out here in Samoa, Tonga, Fiji, New Zealand, Australia, Vanuatu, Solomon Islands, Papua New Guinea, Papua Indonesia, going up into the Philippines, over here to Southeast Asia, Hong Kong area, all the way up here to Japan. There are 7 different tectonic plates in play here. 7 different tectonic land masses pushing the earthquakes around. The tectonic plates are in movement. They're moving. They are causing these earthquakes. One tectonic plate subducting under the other. One tectonic plate subducting of the other, just like this. Just like this. That's what's actually happening. USGS doesn't want us to see it, whatever the reason is. I've told you my opinion of why I believe it is. Down here off the southern part, southeastern part of Mindanao, Philippines. We've been talking about this part of this area for a week or two now, at least a week or two. More earthquakes here. Okay, we've seen 5.0s, we've seen 5.5 earthquakes here before. Today, these earthquakes are minor 2.0 to 2.7 earthquakes. 4 minor earthquakes here off the southeast coast of Mindanao, Philippines. Mindanao, Philippines is the largest island in the Philippine chain. Largest island to the south of the Philippine chain. Going up to the northeast side of the Philippines, on the Philippine earthquake fault, the edge of the plate. Okay, right up here. Okay, Bhutan City over here to the east, or to the west, I should say. But off here on the Philippine plate here, on the fault, we have a 4.7 moderate earthquake. 4.7 moderate earthquake, nobody felt it because it was off out in the ocean. They got lucky. They got lucky. Now, down here just barely south of Taiwan, we had another 4.7 earthquake here. It did not affect Taiwan. It did not affect Luzon, Philippines to the south. It's out here in the Pacific, or actually the Chinese Sea of China, or what is it called? Ocean belonging to China over here. Down here, just southeast of Taiwan, 4.7 earthquake. USGS for some reason isn't showing it. Let's go up here to the north. They're showing 1 earthquake here off of Tokyo, Japan. Just east of Tokyo here. This is another large 5.0 earthquake. 166 miles east of Nagasaki, Japan. Another earthquake they're not showing is just off the northern shore of Hokkaido. This is also 4.6 earthquake here. Okay, just north of Hokkaido and south of Poblask, Russia. Poblask, Russia, that island to the north. Okay, that's what's happened today. Over here off the Kamchatka Peninsula today. Off the tip of the peninsula here is another 4.4 moderate quake. Over here to the east, southeast side of Kamchatka Peninsula in the ocean, on the fault line again, the edge of the plate. This is another 1 or 5.1 earthquake, a large 5.1 earthquake here. I'm going to back off here. Want to come over here to this area of Afghanistan. 3 moderate earthquakes hit here in Afghanistan. USGS not even showing any of them. 3 of them hit here. I'm going over here to the west. Right here, the Turkey-Syria border region, where 3 years ago we had a 9.0, 10.0 major earthquake. Today we have 23 earthquakes hitting this area today. Aftershocks of that 9.0, 10.0 earthquake, February 3rd, 2023. All over Turkey. Earthquakes in central Turkey, earthquakes in northern Turkey, earthquakes in southern Turkey. Over here, northwestern Turkey, right here. 82 earthquakes here today. 82 earthquakes. USGS is not saying one word about it. Not one word. We're here in the Aegean Sea. This is a 4.0 earthquake here. A 4.0 moderate earthquake here. Why did this earthquake hit? Magma down beneath the ocean. Magma down beneath the bottom of the ocean. Trying to find a way through the bedrock to get to a point where it could erupt. 4.0 moderate earthquake here today. Nowhere near anybody. Nobody felt this earthquake. However, there are earthquakes over here just east of there, here in the Dokeniz Islands, just west of Turkey. All of these islands just west of Turkey belong to Greece. They're called the Dokeniz Islands. They are tremors, minor 2.0, 2.8 earthquakes here, happening every day. Every day. Over here in Greece. 14 earthquakes here in Greece today. USGS doesn't show any. Not one. We have an earthquake up here to the north. This is in Kosovo. This is a 4.5 earthquake here. There are other earthquakes here as well. Up here in Poland, we have earthquakes. 2 of them. 2 earthquakes here, 3.7 and 4.2. Poland. Over in Croatia, 2 4.2 and 4.3 earthquakes hit here in Croatia. Minor earthquakes hit here in Sicily, southern Italy. Today we have no reports of earthquakes over here in the area around Vesuvius volcano. Not reported by the Italian government or the USGS or the European agency. None. However, up here to the north, here in north central Italy, the European agency is showing 23 earthquakes here. 23 earthquakes here. Swarms of earthquakes every day. This again is going to lead to a larger earthquake here, probably a 5.0 again within the next, I would say, maybe even 6 months, maybe less. Okay? Up here in the north. You see where Milan is here? Where the Olympics are happening right now today? We have no earthquakes around Milan at all. We have earthquakes up here in the Alps Mountains, however. We have earthquakes up here in Germany, France, Switzerland. Minor earthquakes. Even up here north by Normandy, northwestern France, Normandy. 2.7 earthquake here in Normandy today. Okay? Happened. We have 2 earthquakes down here along the border of Spain and France. 1.5 and 1.7 earthquake here. Over in Spain, we have 4 earthquakes here in southern Spain. All of these earthquakes are tremors. 1.2 to 1.7 tremors here in southern Spain. Now, I want to go out here into the Atlantic Ocean, into the mid-Atlantic. Notice they are not showing any earthquakes at all today. However, USGS took this earthquake down. It was north of the Azores Islands here on the North Mid-Atlantic Fault. Just barely north of the Azores Islands here on the Mid-Atlantic Fault. It was a 5.0 earthquake. Large 5.0 earthquake, no islands around, nobody felt this earthquake, but again, it's on the Mid-Atlantic Fault. As we've been preaching for quite some time, the Mid-Atlantic Fault is expanding. It's expanding, it's going like this. It's pushing Europe, Scandinavia, and further south, Africa in an easterly direction, while it's pushing Greenland, Canada, and the United States and northern Mexico in a southwesterly direction. Okay? That's what's happening. There was an earthquake over here in the central Mid-Atlantic right here, but they've also taken it down. It was also 5.0 earthquake. Down here further south in the South Atlantic Ocean, again on the Mid-Atlantic Fault. This earthquake is another 5.0 earthquake here. 5.0 large earthquake, 6.2 kilometers deep. It's happening. Now, USGS is showing one earthquake here in South America. Only one earthquake here in South America. There are 42 earthquakes here in South America. They're showing a 4.5 earthquake here. There are 13 earthquakes here to the south. 13 earthquakes here to the south. As far south as Biobío, Chile, and up here to the north. More earthquakes here. More earthquakes here. Okay, lots and lots of earthquakes. There are 22 earthquakes up here in northern Chile. 22 earthquakes. There's another earthquake up here in southern Peru. 4.7 earthquake. We have earthquakes here in Colombia. Earthquakes here in Venezuela. USGS is not showing any of them. Not one. Now, before I go and talk about the Caribbean Ocean, USGS is only showing us one earthquake here. This came out as a 5.2 earthquake. Until about 4 hours ago, this was a 5.0. USGS has now subsequently downgraded this earthquake to a 4.6. From a 5.2 earthquake to a 4.6 earthquake. That's pretty poor. That's pretty poor. There are 14 earthquakes here in South America. 14 earthquakes here in South America. They're also not showing another earthquake, another large earthquake off of Costa Rica, just south of Costa Rica. Let me show you that earthquake right now. I'm going to take down the USGS map here. I'm going to take down our depth of magnitude conversion chart. Right here. Okay. One earthquake, 5.0 south of Panama. See that here. Over in the northern part of the ocean here, just south of Costa Rica. You see it here on the map. That is also another 5.0 earthquake. Large 5.0 earthquake. But again, the USGS is not showing that either. Lots and lots of earthquakes here in South America. There are 43 earthquakes in southern Mexico. 43 earthquakes in southern Mexico. USGS didn't show any at all. Nothing. Not one. There's another large earthquake that we need to talk about. Let me show it to you right here. This earthquake was again in the Caribbean Sea, right between Jamaica and Haiti. Right between Haiti and Jamaica. This is another large 5.0 earthquake. Happened early this morning. These things keep happening. Okay? Up to the north, just over here on the edge of Cuba. On the edge of Cuba, you see the earthquake fault. The Cayman Ridge. The Cayman Ridge. Okay? The Cayman Ridge dropped this earthquake here between Haiti and Jamaica today. Okay? That's what happened. Let's go back here to the USGS map again. Again, USGS is not showing any of the earthquakes here in South or Central America. They're not showing any earthquakes over here in Central America at all, except for the large one just south of Panama. They're not showing anything here in southern Mexico. Nothing. They don't usually show anything. Very sad thing. Okay? They don't show anything. They show some earthquakes in southern Texas. They showed that earthquake between Jamaica and Haiti here. Over here further east, we had an earthquake southeast of the DR, the Dominican Republic. This is a small 3.4 earthquake. This is also 16 kilometers deep. This is a 4.7 earthquake here. Moderate 4.7 earthquake just south of the Mono Passage. The body of water here between Puerto Rico and the DR is the Mono Passage. This is a 4.7 earthquake south of the Mono Passage here. Over here in southwestern Puerto Rico, we have some earthquakes here. Why? Because on December 6th or 26th, December 26th and December 28th, 2019, we had an 8.0 and an 8.4 earthquake that hit here. I've explained about these earthquakes in the past. Man-made earthquakes. Man-made earthquakes. Man-made, very major earthquakes. As a result of those earthquakes, we still have aftershocks here today. These earthquakes in southwestern Puerto Rico are aftershocks of major earthquakes that happened back in 2019, nearly 7 years ago. This earthquake is a 2.2 minor earthquake. This is just southeast of Palero, Puerto Rico. Just south there is another 3.0. East of here, this is a 1.92.0. Aftershocks of an 8.0 and 8.4 earthquake back from 2019. Up here in mainland Puerto Rico, in the mountainous region of Puerto Rico, this is a 2.2 earthquake. This 2.2 earthquake, I don't believe, had anything to do with the major earthquake that happened in 2019. Over here in western Puerto Rico, I don't believe this earthquake has anything to do with those earthquakes either. However, this is a 2.1 minor earthquake here. western Puerto Rico here. 3 earthquakes having to do with the major earthquakes that hit, the other 2 not. Up here north of the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. These earthquakes were dropped by the Cayman Ridge. The Cayman Ridge to the north. The Cayman Ridge comes out of Guatemala, runs all the way through the Caribbean, all the way out here over into the Atlantic Ocean. We have 2 earthquakes or 3 earthquakes here. This is the 3.4 earthquake here. 3.4 earthquake, 27 kilometers deep. This is a 3.1 small earthquake. This earthquake is a 3.4. 3.4 earthquake. Dropped here by the Cayman Ridge. The Cayman Ridge fault zone comes out of Guatemala, Central America, takes the seismic energy over here to the east, drops it wherever it wants to. That's what happens. Do we have any questions about this? Any questions? Now, this is where I would normally get into Southern California earthquakes. As I stated yet last week, the United States Geological Survey and Caltech have decided not to publish any earthquakes at all here in Southern California except on the USGS map. And we all know that the USGS is not showing all the earthquakes here. They're not showing all the earthquakes at all. However, I have a statement from Caltech that there are over 436 earthquakes here in the greater Los Angeles area today. Over 436 earthquakes here today in the greater Los Angeles area. But they don't show them, do they? They don't show them. North of Los Angeles up here, just south of LA here, Maywood, California, they're showing a 1.3 tremor. But we know darn well north of here of Los Angeles City, there are other cities here that have earthquakes. Moore Park, for example. In recent days, recent weeks, we've seen 3.0 earthquakes up here in Moore Park. Yeah. Pardee as well. Various other places here north of Los Angeles, 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes here all the time, as well as minor earthquakes as well, all the time. They don't want to show them to us because they know exactly what's happening here. They know a larger earthquake is incoming here in the Los Angeles area. They know darn well what's going on. Okay? Let's go out here to the east. Okay? Over here by Rancho Cucamonga. Northeast of Rancho Cucamonga, we have Fontana, California. We usually show a seismogram here from Fontana with minor earthquakes, 2.0, 2.9, and we have other 3.0, 3.8 earthquakes here in Fontana. Late last year, we had a 4.5 earthquake here in Fontana, California. USGS did not even talk about it. USGS did not even talk about it. But today they're showing us 1.7, lousy 1.7 tremor here in Fontana. Yet we all know that these are this place, Fontana City, is having larger earthquakes than this. Small 3.5, 3.4, 3.3 earthquakes here in Fontana today. Probably 6 or 8 of them. That's very typical of Fontana. They don't want to show what's going on. Now, further south to the east, Loma Linda Medical Center. Typically, we show a cytogram from Mira Loma. Mira Loma is just south of Loma Linda. We have small, minor, and tremors hitting here in Mira Loma Linda area. It's in here in the past. We have minor, small earthquakes hitting here, and tremors hitting here in Mira Loma Linda. Today, USGS is showing us a 0.8 microquake. 0.8 microquake here, guys. Insane. This is also on the San Jacinto Fault. San Jacinto Fault. Over here to the northeast again. Actually, I should say the southeast here. Northeast of Loma Linda. This is a 1.6 tremor up here in Yucaipa, California. On what? What fault is this on? This is on the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault. Interesting. Very interesting. They're showing us one tremor here on the San Andreas Fault. We know darn well what's happening here on the San Andreas Fault. We have small and we have minor earthquakes hitting every day. And they want to just show us a tremor here. They don't want to give out any information about what's going on because they know the San Andreas Fault is about to lose it. About to give up one of the most and strongest earthquakes ever. Yeah. Further here to the southwest, on the Elsinore Fault, north of Lake Elsinore itself, Glen Ivy. They're showing us a 1.7 tremor here. I'm sorry, not tremor. This is a 0.7 microquake. 0.7 microquake. Over here in Glen Ivy, what's happened here? I've shown you several seismograms here from Glen Ivy that shows you tremors here, not just microquakes, but tremors. Minor earthquakes 2.0, 2.9, and small 3.0, 3.4 earthquakes here in Glen Ivy. And they're showing us a microquake. Down here in Lake Elsinore, all we have are tremors here. USGS and Caltech never show us anything more than tremors here in Lake Elsinore. Fascinating. I don't trust those seismograms at all. I've seen Lake Elsinore, Marietta area rolling here with minor earthquakes all the time. All the time. They're not showing us anything because they know darn well what's actually going on here. They know darn well what's going on here. We go south here. Valley Vista, California. It's called the Anza Gap. The Anza-Borrego Desert State Park. This also is a 0.7 microquake. North San Diego County. Northeast San Diego County here. Further out here to the east. Guess what? This is on the San Jacinto Fault. This is Idlewild, California. Interesting. They're trying to call this a surface quake. A 0.0 surface quake. Guess what? I don't buy it at all. Idlewild has been having all kinds of tremors. 1.1 to 1.7, 1.8 tremors. And they even have had very long duration tremor activity here. Very long duration tremor activity here. So I don't buy them saying this is a surface quake. Not at all. South of Idlewild, again in the Anza Gap. the Anza-Borrego Desert State Park in northeast San Diego County. They're saying this is 0.5 microquake on the San Jacinto Fault. This is a 0.6 also in the Anza Gap. Go down here further to the south. This is Anza-Borrego Desert State Park as well. 1.0 tremor. Further down here to the south, Borrego Springs, the Anza-Borrego Desert State Park, northeast San Diego County. 0.6 microquake. We'll go here down here for the southwest. Okay. Also Borrego Springs as 0.4 microquake again. Fascinating. Still in northeast San Diego County. Let's go down here to the west. Okay. Julian, California. What have you heard about Julian? About a year ago, we had a 5.0 earthquake here in Julian, California. Guess what this is? This is a 0.7 microquake here in Julian, California. An aftershock. Tiny, tiny aftershock of the 5.0 earthquake that hit here in Julian just about a year ago. Julian, California. Okay. Go back out here to the southeast here. This time we're back here in the Imperial Valley. We're still here in Southern California. Okay. On the San Jacinto Fault. This is a 1.0 tremor here at Ocotillo Wells, Imperial, California. Again, they're not showing us all the activity here at all. Every day, down here in the Imperial Valley, we'll be showing you earthquakes here, over here in Bombay Beach. Bombay Beach here. We've seen 3.0, 3.5, 4.0 earthquakes here in Bombay Beach before. These are still happening. Whether USGS or Caltech wants to show them to us at all, they continue to happen. I've shown you the seismograms in the past. Lots and lots of earthquakes here in Bombay Beach on the San Andreas Fault. I can back out of here. Back out of here. You see the San Andreas Fault going down here to Bombay Beach? Up here in the north, when the San Andreas Fault enters Imperial County, they term it the Imperial Fault. They term it the Imperial Fault. To the northeast of the San Andreas Fault. Indio, California. We're still getting small swarms of earthquakes, or what they call caches of earthquakes here in Indios, California. Indios, California. Today we have a 1.4 tremor here. Right here's a 1.0 tremor. Just to the north, this is a 1.0 tremor. Right here is a 1.1 tremor. Indio, California is still rocking and rolling here. Still rocking and rolling. It's moving. Now, guys, this is just east of the San Andreas Fault. I believe the San Andreas Fault caused that 5.0 earthquake here in Indio, California here a few weeks back. It's going to still rock and roll here. North of Indio, California. This is a 1.4 tremor here. This is a 1.0 tremor here. These are all aftershocks of the Indo earthquakes. Aftershocks here. Down here in the Imperial Valley, we've shown you an awful lot of earthquakes here in the past. In the past, down here in Calipatria, good old Calipatria, right there. We used to show you a seismogram from Calipatria. Anywhere from 75 to 150 earthquakes a day. Just here in this area. They're not showing us anything now. Because again, they don't want anybody to know what's happening. They want to keep it a secret. So when we have another major earthquake, everybody's going to say, well, how did that happen? We haven't had any earthquakes here in a while. Over here in the southern side of the Salton Sea. Here in the southern side of the Salton Sea, we have the Salton Butte volcano. Salton Butte volcano is right here. It also has earthquakes. They don't want us to see what the Salton Butte volcano is doing. The Salton Butte volcano is capable of erupting at any time. It is capable of erupting at any time. We could have a major eruption here at the Salton Butte volcano. Okay? Just to the southwest of the Salton Sea. We used to also have a seismograph here in Westmoreland. They would show us readings from the seismograph here. We would see minor tremors. We'd see minor earthquakes, 2.0, 2.9. Sometimes we would even see 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes here in Westmoreland, California. They shut both of these seismographs off last part of last year and last year. Let's go south here. You see Brawley here, guys? Back in the day, my high school from San Diego, California, down over in Poway, California, northeast San Diego County, had debate tournaments over here in Brawley. Okay? I worked for a radio station part-time when I was in high school and after high school, called KFMB Radio. KFMB Radio had a team called Hudson and Bauer. They had someone that was called a fictitious character called Mother L. Butterbreast, and the Reverend Jack from the good hills of Brawley, California. Brawley isn't in the hills, it's in the desert valley here of the Imperial Valley. But the Reverend Jack was a preacher here in Brawley, California. Was a fictitious character, but they had him as a preacher here in Brawley, California. His wife was on the mighty Wurlitzer organ here in Brawley, California. All fictitious characters, but I have come to love Brawley, California, having spent debate tournaments here and also being talked about by Hudson and Bauer morning team, Brawley, California. Yes, we've had earthquakes here in Brawley, California. Just south of Brawley today, we have a 2.3 earthquake here. 2.3 minor earthquake here. Okay? Then south of there's a town called Imperial. Up until Caltech and USGS decided not to show us what's going on here, we'd had a seismograph here in Imperial Valley, down here in the town of Imperial, which showed seismic activity here in the town of Imperial. We had microquakes, we had minor tremors, 1.0, 1.9, and we had minor earthquakes as well as 2.0, 2.9, and occasionally we even had 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes here in the town of Imperial. Now they're not showing anything here. There is always seismic activity going on here in the Imperial Valley, whether it's Imperial, whether it's Westmoreland, or Calipatria, or anywhere else. Okay? Further south from Imperial, we have a town called El Centro. One of our own family members' named Juanito. He and his family live here in El Centro. In El Centro, we've seen 3.0 to 3.5 earthquakes hitting here every day. Every day. Okay? Some of those earthquakes were tied to the Salton Butte volcano. Some of those 3.0 plus earthquakes were tied to the Salton Butte volcano. Magma moving from San Diego, California, west of San Diego, out in the Pacific Ocean. Magma moving off the Pacific plate over onto the North American plate, all the way under the mountains over here to the Imperial Valley. And we saw the magma being shown on the sidegram. Magma headed for the Salton Butte volcano. There are 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes hitting here in El Centro every day. USGS can do what it wants. They don't have to admit that it happens because we know otherwise. I show you the evidence of it happening in the past. I believe it's still happening today. Today. One other place. Okay? A place called Holtville. I've been in Holtville here as a high school student, high school debate team. Holtville at the time was maybe a town of maybe 3,000 people. It's probably 25,000 now. There's kind of a museum here in Holtville. It's called the Salton Sea Desert Research Station. They have a seismograph here in Holtville. It's recording earthquakes as we speak. But heaven forbid they show them here anymore. Because again, Caltech and USGS has deemed that they're not going to show us what's going on here. We've always had microquakes, we've always had tremors, we've always had some kind of minor earthquakes as well, and sometimes even 3.0, 3.4 earthquakes here. Holtville, California. Like I said, they can hide them, but that doesn't mean they don't happen. I've shown you a lot of evidence of this over the past, throughout the past. It's going to continue. It's my opinion. Because of all the earthquakes that are hitting here, we're going to have a very strong earthquake here as well. Anywhere from a 5.0 earthquake here in the southern Imperial Valley here, 5.0 large to 6.0 very strong earthquake here. Also coming down here on the San Andreas Fault. On the San Andreas Fault here. The San Andreas Fault is locked and loaded. The San Andreas Fault is capable of a 8.0 earthquake. 6.5 to an 8.0 earthquake here. We fully expect to have at least a 7.0 to 7.5 earthquake here on the San Andreas Fault sometime within the next few months. I don't think it's going to go much longer than it could. We don't know when it's going to happen. We don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. It's a matter of time. All of Southern California is under an earthquake watch right now. All of Southern California is under an earthquake watch as we speak. And rightly so. Rightly so. Up here in Northern California. Go up here in Northern California, right here. Okay? Over here in San Luis Obispo. I spend a lot of time with friends and family here in San Luis Obispo. We have a 2.2 minor earthquake here. San Luis Obispo is north of Santa Barbara. On the San Andreas Fault to the north here, Fairfield, California. Fairfield, California. Earthquake capital of the world. Earthquake capital of California. Fairfield, California. This is a 1.1 tremor. East of Parkfield, Aveyah, California. 1.0 tremor here as well. Okay? We go north here. They're not showing any earthquakes here in the Pinnacles. Nothing here around Monterey Bay. But they're showing us one earthquake here on the San Andreas Fault west of San Francisco Bay. Pacific and California. Pacific and California, this is where many rich people live. They have a Pacifico golf course here. They have a Pro-Am golf tournament here once a year in the summertime. This is a 1.3 tournament here in Pacifica, California. I've been down here in Pacifica where I've seen deer on the golf course. Deer roaming the golf course here almost every day. Okay, what's going on here to the east? What's going on here to the east? Over here, San Ramon, California is still moving. San Ramon, California is still moving. This is a 2.6 minor earthquake here. This is a 1.6 tremor here in San Ramon. Still moving, guys. It hasn't stopped. Neither the tremor or the minor earthquake here can be felt. 2.6 minor earthquakes, 1.6 tremors cannot be felt. They're too small. But San Ramon, California is still moving here. Aftershocks. Aftershocks today. Any questions about earthquakes here in California? Any questions about earthquakes in California? Yeah, Judy is here. Judy Olson's here on our chat. We appreciate that. I had some emergency errands I had to run with Carol, so I'm coming on late tonight. I'm very sorry about that. But guys, we have more information for you today. Okay? I've shown you earthquakes all over California now. Literally all over California. I'm going to not show you any more earthquakes here in California right now. I have more information for you. A lot more information for you. Now, as I said last night, Mr. Bunny, Bad Bunny, was at a Super Bowl doing a halftime show. Interesting enough, I did not have the information I have now about what Bad Bunny did at the Super Bowl. Now, I have information on my Facebook page if you want to go there. On my Facebook page, I have information about what Bad Bunny did at the Super Bowl. Verified. Verified. His music was outlandish. His music was outlandish and vulgar. So vulgar, I cannot even repeat what he said here on our chat. I can't repeat it on our YouTube channel. Nothing. But what I said last night about Bad Bunny was very true. But it's worse. It's worse. Many of you have maybe missed this from last night. The little boy that Bad Bunny had on his Super Bowl show, he said was little India, that was supposedly abducted by the U.S. Border Patrol when they took his father that they were chasing because his father was an illegal alien. They picked up his father, and his father left his little son out on the sidewalk. ICE did not abduct the little boy at all. They cared for him. They cared for him. After ICE picked up his father, they took both he and his son over to California to be united together. Bad Bunny said at the Super Bowl Sunday night that he gave his Grammy Award to Leon Ramos, the man that supposedly was abducted by ICE, which wasn't true. But it's amazing. That little boy that Bad Bunny supposedly gave the Grammy to was not Leon Ramos. Had nothing to do with Leon Ramos at all. Nothing at all. That little boy was an actor. That little boy was an actor, a child actor named Lincoln Fox. Lincoln Fox. Okay? Now, this leftist, Bad Bunny is a leftist communist. He thinks all Hispanic kids look alike. That's why he brought a child actor out on the Super Bowl stage. That in and of itself is pretty racist. To assume that all little brown people are the same. And that one kid looks just like another without even checking. A publicist for Bad Bunny rejected the claim. The halftime show that Bad Bunny had was criticized by many people who were angered at the music. The rap artist was rapping almost entirely in Spanish. But one brief shot showed two men dancing suggestively together. In past episodes of Bad Bunny shows, Bad Bunny came out on stage in dresses, women's dresses. Not only that, the entire halftime show broadcast was sung and spoken in Spanish. Most people here in the United States do not know Spanish. Now, last night, I talked about Bad Bunny climbing power poles. Yes, they had power poles that they brought out onto the Super Bowl arena. And Bad Bunny was climbing the power poles to raise awareness about the power problems they have in Puerto Rico. Guess what? All this time, Bad Bunny was playing on stage. His music was still suggestive. People who spoke English did not even know what he was talking about. But it's perverse. It was porn. It was absolutely porn. If you want to go over to my Facebook page, go there and click on the lyrics to his program. Lyrics to his songs, they're pornographic. The lyrics to his songs are pornographic. Perverse and sexual innuendo. Yet young ears of teenagers and younger people were listening. And some of them spoke Spanish and understood what Bad Bunny was doing. In other words, what Bad Bunny was doing was educating our young people in perverse languages. Perverse language. Teaching them that things that they had no right knowing at all. What was being put out over the airwaves Sunday night by NBC and the NFL was perverse and in violation of FCC decency regulations. Just because it was in Spanish, I guess the regulators allow NBC and the NFL to do it and get away with it. With what we know now has happened, I hope that NBC will be regulated and be punished for what they've done. I hope they will never do it again. I hope they never invite any other performers, Bad Bunny or anyone else, to go rapping music that's very perverse. I would rather them bring out country western stars like they've done in the past. Country western stars don't do that. My friends and I found out about this. We did our own investigation and found the perverse lyrics to his music. The lyrics of his music cannot be published here on YouTube on this channel at all. I put it on my Facebook page. So those of you that want to verify what I'm saying can do so. It's bad. I am so thankful that I do not allow that kind of crap in my home. We did not watch it. We'll watch Turning Point USA's halftime show there. Great music. Country western music. It was not in Spanish, it was in English. And even our buddy, our buddy and pal, country western star, rap music star, sung music praising God. Sung music praising God. They even had music played by a violin and a cello, something that the halftime show on NBC has never done. Maybe they need to think about it. Stop putting porn and perverse things on the air. Now, I want to go more. I want to talk about the Guthrie case, the Nancy Guthrie case. Those of you that have been following it with me over the last week or so, Nancy Guthrie was abducted a week ago this past Sunday from her home in Tucson, Arizona. Up until today, we had no idea what was going on with the case. The sheriff and the FBI had not had anybody put out any information because they didn't have it. They didn't have it. Well, as it turns out, we now have information. Okay? I showed you pictures yesterday of her backyard where sheriff's investigators had a long stick they're poking into the cistern of the septic system. Poking around the septic system trying to find any idea whether Nancy Guthrie's put in the cistern here. We still don't know any of the tests that they ran here, whether they found anything. That's going to be happening very soon. But now we have new images. We have new images. This man here, okay? We see him coming up to the front door of Nancy Guthrie's home. Nancy Guthrie spent the evening with her daughter and son-in-law that had a home there in Tucson. This man was parked out in the parking lot of the home, dirt and gravel parking area. He walked up here through the sidewalk area here, along the grass area. Now, I'm going to let this video play out only for a few seconds here. I want you to see what I see. Watch this. Look at his hand, his gloved hand, trying to cover the camera, not letting the camera see what he's wearing. Then he leaves, okay? He goes outside the Spanish portico there, grabs a rose bush, pulls it out of a pot, and then brings it over to the camera, trying to block the camera from seeing him. Now, I'm going to stop this just a second. Okay, this one doesn't show it. Let me bring up another picture. I've got another picture here that shows him. Okay, he's wearing a ski mask. He's got a flashlight in his mouth. At first, I thought this may have been a face of a woman. I don't think so anymore. The FBI and the sheriff now have what they see as a man. Okay, wearing a ski mask. He was wearing a ski mask trying to distract the police from knowing his true identity. But they can see his eyes. They can see his eyebrows. Even though he has a flashlight in his mouth, trying to obscure the camera, trying to make sure the camera doesn't see anything. They have a good sized picture of who this suspect is. They've not given out that information as of yet. Not yet. Okay? Now, Kash Patel arrived in Tucson late last night. He's also commented about what happened the night Nancy disappeared. An armed thug in a ski mask was seen tampering with Nancy Guthrie's home security system on the morning she vanished. She vanished in the middle of the night between Saturday night and Sunday morning, about 1:30 in the morning. According to terrifying footage released by the FBI today, the first major break since the elderly grandmother vanished over a week ago. This is the biggest break in this case so far. Chilling black and white footage and still pictures pulled from the Nest camera, the Nest NEST camera. Okay, the Nest camera is a very select camera system specifically to catch people coming onto people's property. In this case, it got us good pictures. But because Nancy Guthrie had not paid the premium it cost to keep the pictures and in the video coverage on her own personal computer, was still on the Nest cameras. And the FBI and the Secret Service and the Sheriff's Office were able to obtain the footage from Nest camera systems. Okay? It showed a pistol-packing man staring straight into the lens while apparently trying to break into the house. A pistol-packing man. Pistol-packing man, guys. Let me show you an up-to-date picture of that pistol-packing man right here. We got a circle here. Sorry about that. Let me reduce the size of this picture here so you can see what I'm talking about. He was packing a pistol in his front waistband. In his front waistband right there. In this particular photo, you get a better look at his eyes as well. But there on his belt, he's packing a pistol. Okay? He's wearing very bulky clothing to disguise his true figure, his true person. Okay? But there you see him packing a pistol in his belt, staring straight into the lens of the camera while attempting to break the camera itself and to break into the home. You saw him try to cover the camera lens with a fist glove and then pull a handful of flowers out of Nancy's front garden in an attempt to blot out the lens. The suspect seemed to have a flashlight in his mouth, which helped obscure his face from the camera. He lumbered up around Nancy's patio in sneakers and a fleece and a backpack. A backpack, okay? In the video, you saw a backpack. They've gotten a lot of information from the backpack. They know who made the backpack, who sold the backpack. Now they're going to trace the backpack back and who sold it in that area. That's just one more lead that they have that they didn't have before. And now all the while a handgun was seen holstered in the front of his pants. These images were obtained this morning with the help of Arizona law enforcement, the FBI, the Secret Service, and the private sector partners, including Google. Nancy had numerous Nest cameras around her property, but she had not paid her subscriptions, so the feeds she had disappeared and they didn't go into her account. That prompted law enforcement to fear those pictures and video were lost forever, however they were kept in the cloud. The FBI, the Secret Service, and guess what? ICE, Border Patrol, dogs, Google specialists were able to pull the residual data located by the cameras from the back-end system, resulting in the startling images that you just saw. Over the last 8 days, the FBI and Pima County Sheriff's Department have been working closely together with their private sector partners, continuing to recover any images or video from Nancy Guthrie's home that they thought was maybe lost or corrupted, or maybe inaccessible, but they found it. The footage also appeared to be from the cameras that Nancy had on her home on the night that she went missing. It still remains unclear exactly what time the clips were taken, but police have previously disclosed that Nancy's front door camera was disconnected at 1:47 a.m. February 1st, Sunday. 1:47 a.m. Sunday morning. Then at 2:12 a.m., the camera detected a person moving, with cops noting that the footage had been lost because of Nancy's non-subscription. Finally, at 2:28 a.m., Nancy's pacemaker, which was being monitored by her phone, was disconnected because she was taken too far away from her phone. Her phone was left at home, suggesting that she had been taken away from her home by the gunman. And then the pacemaker was disconnected from the phone. Nancy was last seen alive hours earlier, around 9:45 p.m. January 31st, Saturday, when she was dropped off at home after having dinner with her daughter Annie and her son-in-law Tomasco Sione. Let me show you a picture of him. This is a picture of Tomasco Sione, Annie's husband, Annie Guthrie's husband. Sione was the last person to see Nancy alive, and she was reported missing the next day when she didn't show up at a friend's home for a Sunday church service on a live stream. The search for her was declared a criminal investigation on Sunday morning, with a supposed ransom note demanding $6 million in Bitcoin arriving at news outlets soon after. But the note provided no proof of life. The ransom note provided no proof of life. And a final deadline for ransom, which went by, which said that Nancy would be in danger if it wasn't paid. That came and went on Monday morning, with no apparent action, Monday evening, with no apparent change. And all the while, cops have admitted they had no suspects, no clear leads, with the clock ticking. Nancy in dire need of daily medication for health troubles. But DNA appeared to have been recovered from the home, and police have collected samples from several people like Nancy's landscaper and her pool cleaner. The results of those tests still remain unclear, but also DNA blood samples from blood found outside Nancy Guthrie's home was also collected. The DNA was pulled from blood splatter found on the front steps of Nancy's home, where the masked invader was seen prowling. The frightening new images were also the first definitive indication that Nancy really had been kidnapped, and Savannah turned to social media to spread them to her 1.7 million followers on Instagram. Savannah Guthrie put up the following information I'm going to show you in just a second here. Now, guys, if any of you ever see Nancy Guthrie, if you see any of Nancy Guthrie anywhere, I need you to do something. I need you to do something. I need you to call this number. I need you to call these numbers. Okay? If anyone has information about Nancy Guthrie, please call 1-800-CALL-FBI, 1-800-225-5324, 1-800-225-5324, or the Pima County Sheriff's Office at 520-351-4900. I'm going to leave that up here now. Okay? Please do that. Arizona police tip lines have been flooded with calls ever since the images were released. Savannah and her family, however, did not recognize the suspect. Neither did anybody else in law enforcement, which is part of what prompted investigators to release the photos to the public. The investigation seemed to ramp up within hours, with search and rescue units from Pima County Sheriff's Office seen racing to Annie's house and going door to door in the neighborhood, checking through brush and neighbors' yards Tuesday afternoon, today. The release of this footage from the experts baffled Nancy's kidnappers. Okay? Baffled Nancy's kidnappers because they thought they had foiled the cameras. If these kidnappers are still holding her, they're still holding her. Now, as for the perp on the footage, he showed obvious signs of being an amateur and anything but a hardened criminal. That is a very non-conventional way to carry a firearm in front of his pants. That's not the way you carry it normally. It's very non-conventional. He has it in open, which is very unusual. I'm a cop. I'm telling you this. Okay? If you would want it to be concealed, you wouldn't want anybody to know you had it, right? You want it to be concealed if you're going to commit a crime, so you're not calling attention to yourself through exposing your firearm. That's potential somebody that's not normally armed or carrying a firearm around in the public. Normally, you have it on your hip. You don't carry it on your hip because it's uncomfortable. It might be uncomfortable. I've had my firearm on my hip for years. But in this case, he decided to put on his waistband in the front of his pants. When he got close to the door, everybody saw it. The suspect's actions on the camera also point to possibly unsophisticated operation, meaning he was not a common kidnapper or common criminal. You see the suspect coming up the door, he uses his hand to try to cover the camera, but only sort of. Only sort of. He balls up his fist, and then you see him walk back to the vestibule area and pull up rosebush to try to conceal the camera. He reaches down, picks up the vegetation, then tries to cover up the camera. A sophisticated person would have brought something from the very beginning, either a hammer or even spray paint. We've seen that used before, or completely to remove the camera completely. The subject is wearing bulky clothing to hide his body shape. He's wearing thick rubber gloves, a full face mask, and that flashlight in his mouth. This is not a crime of opportunity. It was not done in haste. This was clearly not a home invasion gone wrong. As the investigation continues into its 10th and 11th day, authorities went back to the Tucson home of Annie Guthrie, Nancy's oldest daughter. Groups of FBI agents and Pima County Sheriff's deputies going door to door in the neighborhood. They're still trying to find her. Last weekend, authorities first searched Annie's home, which is roughly 4 miles away from Nancy's home. 3 unmarked vehicles parked in the driveway, and law enforcement left the home with a bag, a couple different bags. Crews from 13 news outlets, as well as mainstream media reported seeing flashes through the windows and possibly from authorities taking pictures inside the home. The Pima County Sheriff's Department said it will continue to maintain a presence in Nancy Guthrie's home for security reasons at the request of the Guthrie family. A new video has come out from Savannah. It was released hours before the 5 p.m. Mountain Time deadline Monday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Time last night. We talked about that. The video did not mention the alleged ransom. Instead, Savannah Guthrie shared her family still believes their mom is out there and is hearing everyone's prayers. She said, quote, "We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken we don't know where. We need your help," Savannah said in Monday afternoon's message. The FBI has been asking for the public's help on the digital billboards in California, Texas, and Arizona, and even into New Mexico. A $50,000 reward has been offered by the Pima County Sheriff's Office for news about Nancy's whereabouts or anybody that's going to report where Nancy is. The Pima County Sheriff's also asks, they've asked us to tell the public, refrain from sharing thoughts, opinions, or feelings regarding the Guthrie information to 911. Do not share your thoughts, your opinions, and feelings when you call 911 or the County Sheriff's Office non-emergency line that you see here on our video today. Don't share your thoughts, don't share your opinions, don't share your feelings. If you have pertinent information about the kidnapping or the whereabouts of Nancy Guthrie, share that with the Sheriff's Office or the FBI tip line. Don't share any thoughts, opinions, or feelings at all. Give them pertinent information to try to bring Nancy Guthrie home. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any questions? This is the latest information we have. Any questions? Yes, Nest is related to Google, guys. It is. They used to be their own company, but they're now related to Google. That's why law enforcement was able to tap into Google to get that information from those cameras. They had it because Nancy Guthrie had failed to keep up her subscription. She didn't have it on their computers there. But Google did. Okay? Again, if you have any information about Nancy Guthrie or her whereabouts, call 1-800-CALL-FBI, 1-800-225-5324, or call the Pima County Sheriff's Department non-emergency number at 520-351-4900. I appreciate you all being here with us. Yes, we don't have that many people watching our video because we're on here so late. I apologize for that. Hopefully that won't happen again. Guys, I love you. I care about you. That's why we're on the air now. We gave you all the information about earthquakes today. That's what's out here. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the pneumatic fault. Thursday we're going to talk about the Pacific Northwest and Cascadia. Friday we're going to talk about any of the news that we have and also about emergency preparedness Fridays, what we call it. That's our schedule. If anything happens, we may trim down one way or the other. Those are our ideas, what we're going to have in the next few days. We love you. We care about each one of you. We care about each one of you. We want you to hear this information because it's important. It's emergency, guys. It has somebody's life depends on it. That's why we're here, trying to save people's lives. May God bless you. May God be with you today and always. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side.